I'm Philip. I'm one of the two co-founders of Glasscube, and we're currently at the 2025 Glasscube offsite in Bremen, Indiana. And yeah, my role at Glasscube is like, besides thinking about the future of Glasscube together with Louis, and I think steering the ship in the right direction, is mostly, I would say, as my strengths are in product development and software engineering due to my background. Yeah, I think we started Glasscube 3 years ago out of an opportunity. We really had the strong belief and motivation to solve a problem. And back then we really saw a need for making it easier to self-host open source products and projects. And we really had strength and experience in doing so. And Lou and I always had an ambition or like the desire to do something together. We played hockey together, we lived together, and we even started a fun side project together before. And after we both gathered some real life working experience in real companies, we really discovered this problem of companies are in the need of having a simpler solution to self-host the software. And then we said, yeah, we are both young, we are ambitious, and we want to help these companies. And creating a company or like founding Glasscube was just a function of helping these companies. And we always enjoyed working together, and we said, yeah, why not? And this is how we started Glasscube. There was no big master plan behind Glasscube from the beginning. I think we both have been entrepreneurial, but having like a domain expertise in like computer science and having deployed application to clouds before, having like a lot of experience with self-hosting software. I think in my previous roles as a product manager at startups, or also like as the CTO of an alerting company, we always have been there always have been like a lot of stuff to do. Like as a product manager, it's really your main goal to steer development team and build a product. And also as the CTO, you are confronted with a lot more management tasks, but also making sure that the whole tech team and product is completely functional, but also compliant to regulations. And I think this is also like where Louis' backgrounds came in, like as a lawyer and with a strong economic background, having worked in fintech. We really had a tangible problem, which was like in the beginning, it was really the data transfer from Europe to the States, where we saw our first opportunity. And we generally believe that, or I generally believe that software that you should own your data, and you should not like use any third-party service to process your data. And the data is valuable, and data will become more and more valuable. And back in the days, it was always I was a little bit more idealistic driven. Yeah, I was using open source tools myself. I was using Android because of the open ecosystem, and there was really a tangible example of all these like website analytics tools back in the day. There was like a ban for Google Analytics. There was like cookie banners popping up. So there was like some kind of movement in the industry, and we really recognized that there is a movement now, and this movement creates opportunities. And this is why and how we initially started Glasscube. But in hindsight, although the opportunities and the movement was there, we haven't executed it as well as we thought. I mean, it's something different to build a company than to complete a university project. If you do a university project or like work in a bigger company or a corporate, you have your task and you finish your task, and sometimes you think about the broader picture and the how and the why, but big corporates they have your projects not directly linked to the success of a company, but in a startup, or when you're a startup and your idea, it's not enough to just build a beautiful solution or a good solution for a problem you think you have, but it's really all about being customer centric and building something for customers. So your product gets used by customers, and your customers will eventually pay for it. And I think this whole process is like finding first product solution fit, the product market fit is something which we didn't have with the first idea. Like, we had some customers, but it was really super hard to get this kind of product market fit. But I think starting a company is all about solving this kind of problems. And yeah, I don't think the way how I work fundamentally changed if I was an employee or a startup founder. Like during university, I started working super young. I think I had my first role at the company with 15. A friend of mine like gave me the opportunity to help his company out. And back then I was obviously still in school, and the way I worked is like I worked after school, after training, from, I don't know, 8 to 10. I did my job from my children's room. And then when I finished my school, where I always had to obviously learn or study on the weekends, I joined university. But I never just studied. I always like worked on the side. So it was naturally to me to not just like think about hours. So I have to study for 10 hours and then I do something else. I always think about, I need to get the job done, and I need to complete the tasks I want to complete. So, and this doesn't matter if I was an employee or a startup founder. I think the main difference for me that changed from previous roles to now being a founder of a startup is the responsibility. It's like you're not more or less responsible for yourself. You're responsible. You're final responsible for the team and for your customers. And although you have great consultants from tech to something else, I think the biggest difference is definitely the responsibility of a startup founder, and I definitely couldn't do this alone. I think it's so happy that I can share this also with Louis, and we can like, I wouldn't say it's like split the responsibility, it's more like share the responsibility, because we're both basically responsible for the team, for customers, for the product, for the office, for, I don't know, cleaning the dishes. We don't have to do anything ourselves, but it's like our end responsibility. And this is also why a team comes in. You need to work with the best people to put this responsible, also to share this responsible among more people, because you cannot handle everything yourself and you cannot be the best in everything. And Lou and I are definitely not the best in everything, but due to the fact, and coming back to your second question, is that we have so many different skills. I mean, Louis' legal and business background, and also his ability to understand and convince people or talk to people is definitely unmatched. And I obviously have more experience in all the tech side, worked probably at more and more companies. So these are like things where we can rely on each other, but we share the same traits in terms of determination and drive. And this makes it unique. Yeah, and not that Louis cannot understand engineering or cannot understand the business side, but we can still mostly or sometimes challenge each other also on other topics. But I think it's good to have like a diverse set of traits, but or like a diverse sets of experience, but with the same set of traits, the same set of quality or goals, which makes it a lot easier to work together. I think
Kosovo.
founding a company is hard. It's super tough. I think there is no other job in the world where you hear that many no's, that many rejections, that many problems to solve, that many bad days, that little chance of of distracting yourself, that little opportunity to let go. I think founding a startup is not some one day a week side hustle you can do, especially not if you take on funding and hire a team. But you also have a lot of upsides. I mean, I work with super cool people, especially with Louis, which makes so much fun. And I'm not working on the main motivation working a startup is not like doing 40 hours and then you're done. I'm not working time. I'm working improvement. I'm working getting better. So the great opportunity of the startup is to can do so much. You can do programming, but you can also do like taxes. There's like an endless opportunity of tasks to solve, stuff to do, but also you always have the opportunity to delegate stuff. And there's also a lot of like communication between people. So intercultural, cross-cultural stuff to think about. And the thing that motivates me is like, I want to become better every day. I want to be good at what we're doing. And what me personally also motivates a lot is like, obviously hate to lose. So I really want to make sure that every day we do something, we don't lose. So the code we write is the best we can. The way we treat our customers and our employees is the best we can. There shouldn't be nobody else, no competitor that does it better than we do. But I think you need to have some kind of intrinsic motivation to found and start a company. Software distribution is hard, and from all my conversations, I get the perception that it's even harder than we thought in the beginning of creating Distr, because the target environments are so diverse. They're like companies that need to distribute printer firmware, companies that need to distribute to Windows servers, but there are also companies that need to distribute cloud applications or AI applications to cloud environments or on-premise deployments. And sadly, we cannot serve and solve all software distribution problems globally, but we will start with a very small or with a small subsection of companies that need to deploy AI applications to customer managed environments like Kubernetes clusters or virtual machines. And from what I heard or from what our customers tell us is there are basically three main problems. The first problem is making sure your application is easily distributable and well packaged. So this means having not that many third-party dependencies, having good versioning, making sure you add release notes, don't have any big breaking changes. So this is the first problem. This is something where we cannot directly help, but help these kind of customers with our knowledge and experience. We are not going into your code and like removing a third-party dependency, but we are giving you guidelines and automations in terms of GitHub Actions to make sure that your software gets uploaded to distro and can then be distributed. The second big problem is like deployment management. If our customers want to deploy to a customer controlled environment, they have limited access. And by using the distro agents, we kind of can give our customers controls to manage the deployments in the end customer space. And the big third deployments are the big third problems are definitely distributing artifacts. And often if you as a software vendor distribute your artifacts to on-premise customers, it's super hard. You send around archive files, you try something hacky with ECR registries, and then you don't have any insights about what company is actually running which version. And these 3 points are the main points I hear when I talk with customers about software distribution, and I'm more than happy that with distro we can solve the last 2, giving our customers controls to their deployments in end customer managed environments, and also giving them the possibility to distribute artifacts with a lot of insights, so they know actually which version of a software their end customers run and can act quickly if they need to adapt to any certain bugs or other customer requests they hear. And I'm also super happy that due to our experience, we can help and guide our customers in the whole process, from getting the first self-managed customers to deploying to dozens of them. And I'm super happy that this is open source and that more and more customers are also thankful for helping them in all 3 problem areas. Data control in times of AI is definitely on the rise. More and more customers request to in-house their critical third-party services where they rely on. They want to use less and less SaaS application and give less and less control about the valuable data array. So we see from our customers, and we are also obviously seeing this with this ourselves, that more and more customers want to have as much software in their control, in their VPC as possible. And this trend is just starting. I think in the DevOps field, there's no room for error. You need to be very precise. Like executing a wrong command could result in deleting a database, in doing irrevocable changes to live and production data. If you see other fields like marketing, writing a social media posting with an LLM, there's usually like a review process. And even if something slips through, you send out a wrong social media posting. If you look about software development, which happens on an engineer's machine, there's a lot of room for trial error. If something doesn't work the first time, you get a compilation error. The AI can improve and work on it. But working in a live production cluster, there's no going back. There's no room for error. Once you executed something wrong, you irrevocable change the state of a production system. And as long as the AI is not that precise and there is still some little room for errors, I see a lot of the engineers working with live and production data are more and more cautious in giving AI that much access. I think this changes a little bit with the introduction of MCP servers, where AI kind of get additional tools. So they don't wing a bash script or a shell script or like a command to do something. but they can use like precise tools via a model context protocol, which are then executed by a third party, which know exactly what it does. Think about the Flux MCP server, right? The AI doesn't bring any Flux commands which are executed, but uses predefined tools from the Flux MCP server. And the same with Distr. You're not no AI querying or posting against the Distr API and thinking about, oh, we can update this deployment. No, they're like precise tools that have a well-defined input format of IDs and strings that that LLMs can use. And if the LLM doesn't comply with the MCP protocol, no action will be taken. No half-baked statements will be executed. I think with Anthropic, first announcing the MCP protocol last fall, it took a while until it really came into my radar. And also the first kind of MCP servers were kind of hacky. And I also never understood why an MCP server is mostly run on a local computer with limited authentication support, limited security, and not really great developer experience. It reminds me of my days at university where I programmed Java with an IDE that doesn't even have auto-completion or go to definition jumps. Yeah, it was very, very clunky. But now, a couple of weeks ago, GitHub really pushed the remote MCP server, and OpenAI a couple of weeks ago announced integrating remote MCP servers into the OpenAI chat interface, like increases the developer or the vibe coder experience so much more. You can now not only like engineers that run and compile their own MCP servers locally can empower LLMs with these tools, but everyone that uses OpenAI can now empower LLMs with remote MCP servers. And I think this is just the beginning. I think in the next couple of weeks and months, we will see more and more MCP servers graduating. And what I mean with graduating is that they need to come out of the proof of concept phase. MCP servers needs to come out of the proof of concept phase. They need to be publicly available, so remote MCP servers. They need to feature authentication, and you as a software vendor want to get insights into what actions your MCP servers perform. And I think there's still a big gap in the market, but someone will definitely tackle it, and MCP servers are just at the beginning. I don't know. I don't know how I really don't know how AI will influence software distribution in 1 year, but the thing that I know is that we will try to push the boundaries, and every time we see a problem in distributing software, in distributing MCP servers, and making sure we can improve developer efficiency, we wanna take a chance and push what's possible in 1 year ourselves. We don't want to guess what will be possible. We wanna build what will be there in 1 year. First, when I first used ChatGPT and other AI powered products, I was working against them. I was not trying on how can they make more productive. I was thinking about or trying how can I prove that I'm smarter than AI? How can I prove that like word generation based on probability cannot be superior to like complex thinking from a human. But I think this was the wrong approach. Because I think the question you should ask yourself is, how can you use your complex thinking to leverage tools the best you can? And I quickly, and to order to do that, I also try to understand how a model's built. What is an LLM? Because what is a classification? Back at university, I can remember I built my own classification services with shape-fitting models. So we run our own MATLAB scripts where we try to find the shape, like the contour of a bone. I studied biomedical engineering, and so we really tried to say, okay, based on an Röntgen, IV, IR, Röntgen, based on X-ray images, we really tried to find the contours, like the borders of a bone, and then perform some shape fitting with a database to know which bone it is. This was my first experience with kind of like algorithmic or like artificial intelligence back in university. And with the introduction of LLMs and like increasing the scope and the possibility of LLMs, I generally started using LLMs to check the grammar. And a lot of people use nowadays LLMs instead of search engines, because if you have a question, you don't want to get a list of like locations where your answer could possibly be, but you want to have directly your answer. And LLMs having so much information already baked in that they can give me the answer very, very well. And as I'm still a software engineer by heart, I first started using GitHub Copilot when it was still in beta, and like text suggestions and autocomplete wasn't that good. But with the introduction of bigger context windows, agentic modes, I think every software developer should reevaluate their opinion on AI. It will make software engineers more productive if you prompt it well. I think if you know what you want and if you know your code base very, very well, you can give an LLM very precise tasks with a lot of context. For me, for example, where I use LLMs nowadays the most is doing bigger refactorings, making sure if I have 20 files where I want to do a repetitive task, like pulling out an interface, doing some data transformation, which is very, very clear. This is the perfect thing to ask an LLM to do. And also, if you want to be more creative, if you want to design something which is not generally new but well accepted, LLMs are great. And I think lastly, always if I'm asking in a domain where I'm not that familiar with, LLMs can give you a very good introduction about specific problems where you're not that familiar. But I think a lot of the downsides of AIs are that, like, a lot of the downsides of AIs are that AIs are not precise. They make money by generating tokens, so they naturally generate as many tokens as possible to get that much money, in my personal opinion. And AI are not up to date. AI are, if you index so much information, you're always behind. You don't have the latest information how to migrate to the latest version of a specific software dependency, you're not trained with the latest programming languages and traits. So if you're only relying on UI, especially in software development, you will always be behind. So for me, using AI is the best in timeless tasks, where you know that there's nothing time critical in there. You cannot do everything yourself. If you're a software engineer, you're relying on third-party code, on dependencies. So you're facing the decision of doing something yourself or using a third party multiple times a day. And how often are you already performing a GitHub or a Google search to find some kind of GitHub repository where you're not really sure if you should really use it in your core product? And to answer this question of a software engineer, we just built shouldIuse.dev. ShouldIuse.dev, you just need to feed the GitHub repository in there, and we are asking the GitHub repository all the questions you would normally do yourself. We are looking for the commit history, the open issues if they're answered by maintainers. We're looking at stuff like, is there a dependency automation, and many more, hundreds of quality factors that give you then a concise answer if it's safe to use a third-party software dependency or not. But I think the main benefit, it spots something which you might have overlooked. Because you as a software developer, you probably know what you're looking for. But maybe you missed that this project is unmaintained, or this project doesn't even do the releases, right? You might not want to use any project that doesn't do releases, publish new change logs, because then you can always only just like pull the main branch, and every new day is a new surprise. On our Glasscube offsite, 2025 in Bremen, Indiana, we wanted to do something special. We wanted to really set the focus on AI. So we thought, where in our workflow AI can help us the most, and especially in software distribution and helping companies deploy. We are seeing so many diverse software projects with so many dependencies, and we're always evaluating them. And this is the perfect use case for AI. We built in our offsite in 3 days a comprehensive software tool that allows you to analyze the quality of your potential software dependencies by leveraging existing well-maintained open source projects with the OSSF scorecard, and relying heavily on AI. So we said the theme of this week is to build something with AI that uses AI and for AI. So we not only build shouldIuse.dev, but we also build an MCP servers to not only make our decisions easier if we should use a software dependency or not, but also help everyone that uses LLMs in the software development cycle to automatically evaluate software dependencies via our MCP server. Initially, we never wanted to make shouldIuse.dev public. It was thought as an internal project where we can evaluate dependencies, but it actually worked that well, and the whole team did such a great job of making it production ready in just a couple of days. So we said, just like ship it, and super excited to get the opinion from every one of you out there, how they evaluating their software dependencies with shouldIuse.dev, and if there's something we can improve on. So we said, simple. I spend a lot of times in Kubernetes clusters. I would say I know Kubernetes pretty well. Kubernetes is a technology which is here to stay. It's the best possible abstraction for distributed workloads that have high availability constraints that need to be deployed on multiple cloud providers. I think you cannot abstract less or cannot abstract more if you want to serve like every company out there on every deployment target out there. And these are the constraints of Kubernetes. Every company can deploy anywhere with Kubernetes. So I don't think there is any chance of abstracting it anymore if you still want to serve these two missions. Run high available production critical workloads at scale. But this is what Kubernetes does very, very good. But if you don't have the need to run high available production workloads at scale, you don't need the Kubernetes abstraction level. You can go with any other managed service that is well abstracted, or like it's easy abstracted. But the moment you outgrow your first or second managed service provider, you should definitely look into Kubernetes, because only Kubernetes gives you the flexibility to deploy everything everywhere.
Speaking of Kubernetes, any production failure stories you want to share? Is there any nightmares that kind of creep up on you?
I think my biggest nightmare is connecting to a Kubernetes cluster and seeing its 4 minor versions behind. I think the most difficult part in dealing with Kubernetes clusters is upgrading Kubernetes clusters with workloads in there that are not designed cloud native and haven't been restarted in years. Potentially will not be able to work after restart because they use like Xcient technologies, some host mounted volumes, or so much funky stuff out there that shouldn't be there. And the older clusters, the worse it is maintained, the higher the probabilities that you encounter funky stuff in Kubernetes clusters. Linux. I think Linux is the first, the best, and the greatest open source tool that was ever written, and praise to Linus Torvalds. I personally use Manjaro with the i3 window manager. I'm using the fish shell, and lately using Michel Hatimoto's Ghosty terminal together with Thunderbird and Chrome. Yeah, so a lot of great open source tools out there, but it's hard to mention any specific one. I think open source tools are so much like baked into my workflow that I just love it. A lot of great open source tools out there. I think building open source is the right way to do. You don't need to hide anything. You don't need to make any funky stuff. All of your customers can always check what's behind. You can be very open, very transparent, and can really make sure you can really make a promise to your customers that you don't have anything behind the curtains. There are no like bodies in the cellar, or there are like no
Skeletons in the closet.
yeah, there are no skeleton in the closets. Everything is out there. Every customer can check it out, and Open source is super important for Glasscube because of the community. We're working with open source tools and we're creating open source tools now for a couple of years, and it's awesome what kind of response we get. Contributors from all over the world contribute features, give us bugs, bug reports, and improve the software quality every day. And another big factor of open source is the marketing. We can reach developers where they are the most on GitHub. They maybe find our repository in the explore page. We might end up trending where they can find us, or they will just get recommended, or just pop up in a Google or GitHub search. So for Glasscube, building open source and using open source tools only has benefits. Conferences are a great place to interact with the community, to mingle with developers and DevOps engineers. And I'm always super thankful and grateful for conferences letting me speak and letting me share the experiences we make at Glasscube with other people, so they can hopefully learn from our experience and give us direct feedback to what we learned and also what we built. And I see that conferences becoming more and more important to Glasscube, because it gives you the perfect opportunity to speak with a lot of people and learn so much more. And every conference, of course, has their own trends. If we look at Kubernetes-based conferences, and there's like one emerging trends that I see at every conferences is that AI is going to stay. More and more AI features are implemented into software solutions from Kubernetes to general developers, and more companies can also tell about their success stories with AI. And yeah, so, but also many more problems and opportunities are in this space. Underrated. I think YAML is beautiful to read and to write, and so happy Kubernetes uses it like heavily. Overrated, because AI is not yet precise, and environments where you only have like one chance to fix something, it's not a good place for unprecise try and error. Still underrated. Data control will become more and more important, and companies should care where they host something, and vendors should provide their end customers with easy possibilities for self-hosting it. Neutral. Everyone who's not using GitOps or think GitOps is overrated is wrong. It's the de facto standard. It's there to stay. GitHub and Cursor are definitely overrated for complex production-ready applications, but definitely underrated for improving developer efficiency. I think a little overrated. Pull request reviews are super important. It's super important to share knowledge, but I'm not the biggest fan of pair programming. Underrated because obviously still some pages don't support it. So I don't understand why I don't have dark mode. Underrated. It's awesome. It's a very cool YC company. It's open source. It's written in Go. It works like a charm. So great. Use it. For me personally, overrated, because I'm doing so much active. I'm so much active outside of work. I need a couple of hours to rest and sit down. Every work task is fun, and if I need to refactoring is fun. Underrated. It's a great opportunity more people should do it, and I love it. A little overrated. I have a couple of stuff at home which I probably will not ever wear. I think mental health as a founder is super important. I think you cannot be productive and sane over a long time if you're just working. You need some kind of alternative stuff. You need some time of the day where you get out of your routine. And for me, that means doing sports. I really like to do triathlon. I like to do CrossFit. I did some high rocks. And I really schedule in these trainings hours nearly every day before work. And it ensures that I'm fresh and sane for many more years to come. And it also helps you to surround yourself with other like-minded, motivated people. And it's always great to achieve success at work, but also in your free time.
Last question. Why does completing an Ironman make you a better founder?
In order to complete an Ironman, you need to have discipline, because in order to complete an Ironman, you need months and years of training, and the training will suck 99% of the time. You will suffer 100% of your trainings, and you still need to love it. And if you can suffer for years of training to then do something which is super hard and still enjoy the process, I think it's the same as founding a company. Super simple. Angular frontend, Go backend, deployed on Kubernetes, Postgres database.
Oh, this thing.
No, this time.